In our previous video, we noted that the left's modus operandi is to accuse you and me of doing and saying what they themselves are doing and saying. It's simple projection. But we on the right engage in projection too. We tend to assume that leftists are acting in good faith when they engage in politics. They're not, and we need to stop assuming that they are. Leftists have one goal: power. They'll do anything to obtain and then to retain power. That's their prime directive. It's their main goal. We on the right need to stop assuming the left is operating in good faith, and we need to push back at them hard now. This is Dr. Avenir. It's October 24th, 2023, and I think we should all acknowledge that the storm clouds have been gathering for quite some time. Look at all the stuff that's going on and all the conditions that are in place around the world, and things could not look more bleak. In the United States, we have a feeble old fool who's always been a fool. He's now riddled with dementia, and dementia makes an old fool no better than he was before when he was a young fool. We have a psychotic leader in China. Xi Jinping is a grotesque monster who allows absolute atrocities to happen in his country. In Russia we have an addled, old, ugly man, a man who has loudly and publicly proclaimed that he wants to restore the old Soviet Empire, only with Russia being the dominant country, not the, quote, Soviet Union, in which the Russian Federation was the dominant country. In other words, he wants to restore the old Soviet Empire. And look in the Middle East. Good heavens, you are talking about primitives by the hundreds of millions. These are people who are barely human, almost indistinguishable from bloodthirsty simians. That's what militant Islam is, and that's what it turns people into. Hamas? These are baboons. ISIS? Baboons. Al-Qaeda? These are baboons. The Taliban? Iran, the various militant Islamic groups in Africa and Indonesia, baboons. These are not people with whom you can reason. These are not people with whom you can live side by side and call them neighbors. These are baboons, gibbering, psychotic baboons, goons, ghouls, monsters. Call them what you want. These are disgusting creatures. These are not creatures with whom you can live in the world and coexist in the world. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And look at Europe. Europe is just feeble. Can't bring itself to condemn the atrocities that Hamas committed in Israel. Can't bring itself to expel the Muslims who are literally making no-go zones in their cities. Do you know what a no-go zone is? A no-go zone is an area where the population of that country cannot go because immigrants, quote immigrants, end quote, really they're invaders, have come in, taken that territory, and now rule it as a literally semi-autonomous area separate from the country in which they have infested themselves. This is all of Europe. Sweden is looking around going, what in the world have we done? How did we let these, again, baboons, for lack of a better way to put it, into our country? How did we do it? And they're trying to get rid of them, and Sweden has no-go zones in their cities. In Europe, in France, there are no-go zones. In Belgium, there are no-go zones. These are areas that are fully under control of Islamic perverts and baboons. Same as in Great Britain. Great Britain has the same thing. Great Britain, in Rotherham, had Muslims raping 14-year-olds, and the British authorities could not see their way clear to condemning it and getting rid of it. And why is this? Well, one of the reasons is very simple. Europeans aren't having sex anymore, so they're not producing babies. So they're figuring, hey, in our old age, we got to have some kind of underclass to come in here to make some money that we can tax so we can fund the actual Europeans' retirements. Well, that's not going to go very far if those people that you bring in basically overthrow the country and turn your country into a third world hellhole, which is what they're promising to do. They're promising to turn France, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Great Britain, they're doing it, Belgium, the Netherlands, into third world hellholes, like the ones that they left when they left their third world hellholes to go to Europe for the free benefits, and then they brought the culture you can't call it a culture, they brought the state of mind with them from the Middle East, from Africa, from Asia, from wherever, from near Asia, from wherever they brought it into Europe. And of course, Europe is slowly, and I don't want to say slowly, it's rapidly decaying. It's deteriorating. It's turning into just grotesqueness. The jewel of humanity was Western civilization. The jewel of humanity was Western civilization, and it is about to fall to barbarians, to baboons, to subhumans, people who choose to be subhuman. They're not subhuman because of any race to which they belong. They're choosing to be subhuman, and they are going to bring down Europe. And of course, if you bring down Europe, we have the same bunch here. Good heavens, you can practically call them the Democrat Party. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. These people are idiots. Freaking morons, and they are elected leaders, elected representatives in our country. How can that possibly be? These are also baboons. We've elected them. We've elected baboons into the halls of Congress, and we have a blithering idiot who's the President of the United States, and we have a blithering idiot who's the Vice President of the United States. Do you want some kind of confirmation of that? Go ahead and listen to the word salad that Kamala Harris disgorges from herself practically every day. In fact, she says such stupid nitwitteries, half-witteries all the time, to such an extent that as far as I can tell, they're shutting her up. At best, she's an embarrassment. At very worst, she's the next president of the United States, and these people are freaking simians. This is the world. Now, everyone knows it. The psycho in charge of China, the psycho in charge of Russia, know that we have an addled buffoon in the White House as the President of the United States, and so they're testing him. And of course he's failing the test. He's fail any test. So China is invading the South China Sea, pushing and pushing and pushing. China's going to take Taiwan. Russia is, of course, practicing for war in Ukraine. China is practicing for war in Taiwan, and they don't have to practice against anyone. They're going to overwhelm it. And of course, we're not going to do anything. We have Joe Biden as the President of the United States. Joe freaking Biden. He was an idiot as a senator. As the president, he's no better. In fact, he's actually worse. This is the situation in the world today. And it's everywhere. Where is a place in the world where you can go and look around and say, you know what? This place has peace, and probably will have peace for some time. Tranquility for some time. A good economy. People who are rational and intelligent, who are the elected representatives, who are prepared to step down for succeeding generations of rational, intelligent, elected representatives. There's no place in the world like that anymore. That used to be the United States, I think. I mean, as communication has become as ubiquitous and powerful as it is, maybe it never was that way. Maybe it was all an illusion. But the point of the matter is, there is no place in the world now, and if the United States falls, as it is pretty close to doing, and if Western Europe falls, as it is very close to doing, there is no hope for the rest of the world, because there are no other places to which the world is yearning to come. The world is not desperately struggling to get to Africa or just about anywhere in Asia. And if they were to try to go to Asia, there are no Asian countries just swinging the doors wide open to let them in, as we do at the southern border of the United States. Why not just put a knife to the heart of the country? You know terrorists are streaming across the border. We captured, you see these statistics, and they're almost laughable. They're not funny, but they're almost laughable. We captured 119 people on the terror watch list in this year alone. We captured 119, which means that 2,119 made it across in other areas where they simply waded across the Rio Grande, or they came across from Canada. They just walked in, and now there are thousands of them, tens of thousands of them throughout the country, just waiting for the notification to start something. That's the world today. And if you look at that world, and if you understand that my summation is about right, it's about as optimistic as it is going to be, or as pessimistic, if you want, as it's going to be. In other words, it's roughly accurate in its very, very negative tone. Now look at the world just before World War II. Look at the world just before World War I. What did we have? We had the same circumstances. We simply did. It's just, I don't know where I'm trying to take you with this, except to say that either one, look out, it's coming, or two, if you know of any way to prevent it, well then now's the time. I don't know what else to say. I mean, for the moment, I guess that's it. But yeah, things are looking pretty doggone bad.